Hello friends, again, welcome to our channel. We are currently explaining Apple TV's web series, Lady in the Lake. So far, we have explained 4 episodes of this series, and if you have not seen all 4 episodes yet, then first watch it. Today we are going to explain the 5th and 6th episodes of the Lady in the Lake series together, because the 6th episode is short. And I have a small request for you. Please subscribe to our channel. Now first, we will explain the 5th episode called Every Time Someone Turns Up Dead in That Lake, It Does Seem to Lead to You. The episode begins with a 1946 scene where a man in a factory is melting metal in a furnace late at night. Then Hal Durst, the owner of the factory, and Maddie arrive. Hal tells the man that this is Maddie, my son Ellen's girlfriend, and she wants to interview me for her high school newspaper, The Brownie. It's late at night, and you're home too. Hearing this, he has understood that this is not an interview, but he did not want to lose his job, so the man goes with his luggage. Now Hal Durst builds a relationship with Maddie by showing her false dreams of a career. Now the scene shifts. In the present, where Maddie is waiting for Milton in a restaurant, Milton comes to meet her. There's a poster of Cleo's disappearance on the gate of the restaurant. The two order coffee and Milton gives Maddie the divorce papers, telling her that Seth no longer feels safe with you. Maddie tells her that she will have to pay the lawyer's expenses and alimony to sign the divorce papers. Milton accepts all her terms and says that Seth will be with me from now on. The scene shifts to where the two men head to the same fountain on the boat of the Druid Hill Park service. One of the men turns off the fountain's pump to replace the damaged light and finds a dead body in a blue coat inside the fountain. Now it is shown that 2 men are coming to the office of the Star and talking to Bob and Heath. Then Bob comes to Maddie and says that, "Did you call DPW and say that some lights in the park have been damaged?" To which Maddie says that she had received a letter in which a passerby informed her about it, but Mr. Heath did not want her to publish it in the news, so I called her directly in her office and told her about the lights. Bob says that those who went to fix the light have found the dead body of a black woman there. Give me that letter and I will give it to them and they will go. Maddie has the letter, but she thinks Bob might be negotiating with her for it, so she says he's probably lost it. Bob tells him that the body was Cleo Johnson's. On this, Maddie says that just yesterday she had read in the Afro that on the day of Cleo's disappearance, the same day Stefan was also caught in the same park. To this, Bob says that then only let them publish this news, and even if you get that letter, let it remain missing, because Marshall does not want us to have anything to do with it. Now it is shown that Maddie burns the letter and talks to Stefan in the psychiatric hospital. Stephen says that he thought that she would come to meet him, but it seems that he has got her story. Maddie asks him why he killed Cleo and sent her a letter. Stephen denies this, saying that he was with Maddie that evening, and you are a witness to this. Maddie says that perhaps you had sent that letter to me from one of your own and included me in it. Stefan says that I did not kill him or involve you, but it seems that whenever a body is found in that lake, its link always reaches you. Now Maddie goes to the morgue and finds Cleo's body and asks the doctor if it was murdered and if it is related to Tessie. On this, the doctor says that after staying in the water for a few months, its condition has become such that it is difficult to say anything except that this body has also been found in the same lake. Now Maddie goes to the office of the Afro newspaper, where she meets Miss Murphy, who is working on Cleo's story. She introduces herself to him and asks him if she can give him Cleo's story, so that they can also print it in their paper. To which Murphy says that she has worked very hard on it and has put a lot of time, so she will not give it to him. Maddie says that if this story is published in the Afro, then it gets the attention of only black people, but if it is published in the Star, then all the public's attention will be on it. Miss Murphy gives her a bundle of old newspapers and says that if I see the news of your white world in the same way, then you can also see. She tells him to leave. It is further shown that Maddie goes to Cleo's funeral. There were a lot of people who knew Cleo. Then Cleo's mother goes on stage to say 2 words about her. Then Slappy says that it was all your fault that she came to you thinking that she would get support. But if she had not come, then maybe she would have been alive. Cleo's mother says that the last time she went with you, what have you given her except sadness? That's your fault. Slappy says that you are not allowing me to sit with my sons even today, but are shaking hands with the people who are responsible for this. He tells Myrtle Summer why Mrs. Summer. When she came to you expecting a job, you didn't give it to her because she worked for Gordon. You thought it would tarnish your image. Upon hearing about Gordon, Gordon's men arrive and surround Slappy. Reggie and her are about to get into a scuffle when Platt comes in between and stops them and asks her to go out with him. When Slappy is about to say something to him, Cleo's eldest son stands up and tells Slappy to keep quiet. Now Slappy comes out of the church, followed by Maddie. She gives him her introduction and tells him that she can help him if he gives her some information. He tells her that Cleo used to handle Gordon's accounts and there is a woman named Lucille who runs his salon, and my son works for the bookmakers who take all of Lucille's bets. On Christmas Eve, she won the bet and Cleo disappeared the same evening. Maddie asks if Cleo and Lucille made the bet together. Slappy says it wasn't a bet. Cleo knew that her number would win. Cleo never seems to bet because it led to her father leaving her. Maddie says she will help him if he stands by his statement. Slappy says that he does not know how much risk she is taking. Maddie goes to Lucille's new salon and confronts her about Cleo, but Lucille carefully avoids her by sending her out. Now Cleo goes to Bob and tells him that Gordon runs the biggest betting racket in this city. He also does many illegal things. Cleo used to handle his accounts and she found out something that made Gordon kill her. Bob says that I know this too, but you do not know what trouble you are taking. Even if Marshall finds out, he will give this news to the Afro. It would be better if you forgot it. Now Maddie takes Judith with her and goes straight to the outside of Gordon's hotel. Reggie stands at the door, refusing to let her in, to which she says that I want to publish the news of a black woman who is an employee of this hotel, but I am being denied access to her employer, so I have no choice but to publish the allegations made against Gordon by Cleo's husband. On this, Reggie asks inside and comes back and takes them upstairs. Maddie asks Reggie about his leg, and he lies that it was injured while doing boxing practice. Now Maddie explains to Judith that after a while come and say that everyone is waiting for you in the office. Now Maddie meets Shell Gordon, and then her eyes go to the fish tank placed there. Gordon tells him that Reggie has all the information. Maddie asks Gordon if Cleo used to handle your account and how long you knew her. I've known her since she was a kid and she used to handle my accounts, Gordon says. Maddie says you are the biggest bettor in the city. Did Cleo manage that too? And what happened to the money that came to Cleo? Gordon had no idea about it, so he asked him what money. She is about to tell something when Judith arrives in the middle and asks her to walk back as per the plan. Maddie asks her to stay for a while and says that she just wanted to get an official statement from her boss. Gordon says that you are a Jew and you have suffered many atrocities. You have suffered genocide, but this city is ruled by white people. There were more white Jewish owners of Cleopatra. Do you want to take statements only from black owners? She used to work as a model in the Hecht too, but maybe it's white people, so you won't ask them. Now, Maddie goes to Hecht's and asks about Cleo. Then a woman tells her that she was a very nice girl. You know her. On Thanksgiving Day, she gave you the same dress that she wore. Maddie remembers that day. She comes home and finds the dress. There are many things going on in his mind. She also recalls her past, in which she was about to become the mother of Hal Durst's child. Now she starts thinking about all the news cutting and keeping all the information around her. Then the plate comes through the window. She begins to explain all the puzzles to Platt, such as Thanksgiving Day, Cleo's dress, finding Tessie's corpse, Cleo working for Gordon, Stephen's arrest, Cleo winning the lottery, Stephen's escape, and Cleo's corpse. She says that she used to work for Shell, and he got her killed. Platt says that you have accepted the words of Stephen and his mother, but this is not your school newspaper. Many lives are at stake here, and the talk was about working for Shell, so more than half of the black people in this city work for it. Maddie says, "Do you work for him too?" and asks Platt to leave. Now Maddie goes to meet Stephen's mother, whose name is Kasia. Kasia used to run a fish shop, which is now closed, so she stays at home all day. She brings coffee and cake to Maddie. She says that after the war, she married an American soldier for a living, but she never loved him. I wanted to get away from him, but man makes plans and God laughs. She says that she loves Stephen, but he is also not in the right mind. The court will not even hear him on the basis of his mental state. Maddie says that she thinks that he has also killed Cleo. Kasia says that he can also say that he has killed President Kennedy. Maddie says that when Tessie disappeared, There was also a black man at your shop that day. Maybe I know him. You can tell me something about him. Maybe I can help Stephen a little bit with that. She says she has told the police about his whereabouts, but what do you want me to tell you? Maddie says that she is also a mother and she wants to help her son. Kasia says that if she wants to help him, let her stay in jail for a few days. Maddie finds something wrong here, so she says she knows Kasia. He came to visit me after escaping from prison and he likes to talk to me. At this, Kasia panics and says that you are lying. He did not tell you anything. Maddie says he didn't tell me then, but I called her after that. This time Kasia is completely terrified and says that if she had told you or anyone else anything, then perhaps the police would have reached here by now. You're a liar. You wanted to cheat me. Kasia angrily stands up and starts picking up the plate, seeing which Maddie also stands up. Kasia picks up a knife from the plate and stabs Maddie in the stomach. Maddie hits a picture in Kasia's head and runs away, but Kasia grabs her leg and knocks her down. Now Maddie runs into a room and closes the door. Kasia gets tired of pushing the door and tells him that I did this for my son. You do it all for your son. Now Maddie, exhausted, retreats from the door and falls against a bed. Blood oozes from his wound. She starts crawling into another room. She sees in the kitchen that Kasia has cut her throat. She has died. Maddie calls from the phone there. The operator keeps talking to the other person, but due to continuous bleeding, the phone falls from Maddie's hand and her eyes are closed, and Maddie falls there. Friends, from here we get to know the real killer of Tessie and understand the whole story. In fact, when Tessie went to the fish shop after Reggie's arrival, Stefan found Tessie alone and unsuccessfully tried to rape her. And when Kasia sees all this, she kills Tessie to save her son and throws his body in the lake. Kasia's plan is going well, but when Maddie arrives at her house, she thinks Stephen has told her everything, so she commits suicide in front of Maddie and fears being caught by the police. And that's where this episode ends. Now I'm going to explode. It's called I Know Who Killed Cleo Johnson. At the beginning of the episode, it is shown that Maddie was lying in blood near the phone. He has a lot of policemen, forensics, and hospital people around him. Now we are shown Maddie's past, where Maddie is married and has a party at her house. Ellen also comes there, who is drunk. He comes and tells Maddie that now you are married, you will also have children. But please forgive me for that night. Maddie says, let's go, Ellen, when we were kids. Ellen says that he said this that night because his father is not a good man, and he can accept this only if he has drunk wine on an empty stomach. Friends, we are talking about that night when Maddie and Ellen were together on the lake shore. Maddie says that she feels that now she should eat the cold air outside. Now Ellen and Maddie both come out of there and come to the nearby guest house. Ellen apologizes to him and the two become intimate while kissing. Here we find out that Seth's real father is Alain Durst. The scene shifts to the hospital where Maddie is admitted. Sitting next to him, Seth says that when he read the diary, he knew, but I had no complaints against you. Ellen comes into the room. He tells Seth that he is here to thank Maddie for finding Tessie's real killer. Then Maddie comes to her senses and sees Ellen and Seth standing side by side, and Ellen says that maybe your next child will know the truth. Just then, Maddie looks at her stomach. Maddie starts having delivery pains, seeing which Seth runs away and calls the nurse. A black nurse comes there with a mask and delivers it. Maddie asks if it's a boy or a girl, and the nurse takes off her mask. It's a Cleo, and there's a newspaper baby in her hand. She says it could be a good clue to your story. And Cleo runs away with the baby. That's when Maddie finds herself in an empty hospital. Sometimes she sees Cleo, sometimes Reggie, and she follows them. Then she goes to a library. From there she goes down to where a lot of Cleo-like women are dancing. Just then Cleo jumps off the top and Maddie finds herself back in the hospital with Seth sitting next to her .friends, It's all about him. He's living his dreams. Now his own news is running on TV that Tessie's case and Cleo's murder can be connected together and maybe someone else's hand in Cleo's murder, which Reggie is panicking. At the same time, Cleo's eldest son hears this and runs to his father's house. He sees the police arresting Slappy as a suspect in Cleo's murder. Now Teddy is going to his house, and then Reggie comes from his car and calls him to him. He gives Teddy some food and gives him some money, which Teddy throws back in his car and asks if he knows who killed his mother. But Reggie leaves without saying anything. The scene shifts to Gordon's office, where Reggie and Platt are also there. Platt tells Gordon that he knows Cleo was driving their car that day, and he also knows that she won the lottery on Christmas Eve. If you all know, an innocent black man can survive. Gordon asks Reggie to tell Platt about some fish. Reggie explains that they are of the same species but live in different rivers, so they kill each other. Now Gordon tells Platt that we are not the same. Now Platt goes from there, and Gordon says that this is the second time this week that someone is sitting in this chair and telling me that Cleo won the lottery that day. Either their source is lying or you are hiding something. To this, Reggie says that, as you said, I had finished the story of Cleo on Christmas Eve. Well, I didn't tell you to throw his body in that fountain, Gordon says. Gordon picks up the phone and calls Captain Stassley. The scene shifts to the hospital where Bob has come to visit Maddie, but Maddie is not fully conscious. Bob tells Stephen that he has opened his mouth and told him that he had tried to rape her unsuccessfully and that the murder was committed by her mother. And the blood found in Tessie's fingernails was Stephen's mother's. And her husband has been arrested for Cleo's blood. Maddie says that she knows who killed Cleo. Her husband is not the killer. Bob cuts the conversation in middle and asks Maddie to print his story about what happened there and what Kasia said to you before she was killed. Maddie says that if you want to publish this story, then no one is bigger than Bob. You go and tell Marshall that Cleo's husband is innocent, and he will publish this news. But Bob repeatedly asks her for her benefit, which causes Maddie problems, and the nurse comes in and takes Bob out. Maddie now seems to be delusional again. She's sometimes Cleo, sometimes Reggie, and sometimes Tassie. She finds herself in a morgue and apologizes to Tessie for not being able to save her. She sees the bodies of her Ellen and a child, and sometimes she sees Seth's corpse. She finds herself dancing with Platt at a party, sometimes at a church where her life is on trial. Meanwhile, protests continued in other parts of the city. Now, Officer Platt goes to the police station, where he and Officer John are called by the captain to his office. Here, John tells Platt that he and the captain know that you are related to Madeline, so either you can resign without going to jail, or Madeline will be jailed for having a relationship with a black man. Now, all Platt understands is that this is John's job, and he resigns from his job. The scene shifts to the hospital where Platt has come to visit Maddie. He is talking to her when Maddie again starts to get confused. This time she finds herself at a party in a forest. She sees Cleo drowning in the water and she rescues her, whereupon Reggie comes and hits Maddie on the head with a bat. Maddie regains consciousness and sees that a nurse has come to clean her room. Maddie asks him who she is. "I used to be Cleo Johnson," she says. This is where the episode ends. Friends, this entire episode revolves around Maddie, in which she keeps getting repeated illusions and dreams which she is not able to distinguish. Lastly, this nurse is shown to be Cleo. Do you know that this is an illusion or not? If you also want to know this, then subscribe to our channel right now and click on the bell icon. If you like our explanation, please don't forget to like, comment, and share with your friends. See you in the next video with the last and final episode of this series. Thank you.